I'm Vanessa Tyler. Welcome to What's New at YCS. I really should say, who's new at YCS? We have a new CEO, Tara Augustine, and we have a new board chair, Carla Pond. New energy, new leadership, new direction. Great seeing you both. What's your journey? How did you get here to YCS? Tell us a little bit about your career journey and why you chose YCS.
First, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I started, my very first position was working with at-risk children. It was a program called Family Preservation Services, and that was working with families whose children were at risk of being removed from their homes. And that was the very first position I had right out of my master's experience. And I always was working with children. And then over the years, I grew more into working with the addictions population and adult mentally ill population. And what attracted me most about this position was bringing me back to my roots of working with children, working with families, and making sure that we can do the best that we can for the families and communities.
And Carla, what about you? I know you've had 31 years, you were in retirement. A lot of people think, this is the time to relax. But then again, you decided to come out of retirement instead of traveling and being here. Wouldn't you rather be traveling?
Well, I guess I did some traveling earlier in my life, and I decided I'd be okay if I didn't see Newark Airport again. But, I'm retired from my career, but I'm still a mom, and you don't retire from that job. And my son is, as you know, someone who is served by YCS. He lives in one of the DD group homes. And I think that I will always worry about his future, but I will worry a lot less the stronger YCS is. And so if I can play a role in strengthening YCS, then that's a great thing for me.
That is the special spot at YCS, the people we serve. And you've seen that firsthand. And so this is why you decided to join the board, because you know the work we do here?
Oh, absolutely. And we had trouble getting services for my son. We looked at autistic programs, but he's also got medical issues, and so the autistic programs didn't want him. The more traditional disability programs didn't want him because of the behavior challenges. But bless his heart, when Richard saw him, he just said, invited him right in, and no problem, because that's what YCS does. So YCS is really a special place.
Well, in addition to what you're talking about, you also bring very strong business credentials to this board. Talk about those kind of experiences and how it would serve us here.
Sure. I have a master's in business from MIT, and I had 31 years at Prudential in several of their investment units. And when we evaluate companies to invest in them, one of the things that we're looking at are financial statements for those companies. And so looking at financial statements and projections is something I'm comfortable with, and that's part of the role of the board. And that aspect of the board is becoming a little more important because the way the regulatory environment has changed and the way YCS gets paid has changed. So it used to be that YCS just got a contract, so they knew their revenues before the year started, and all they had to do was manage expenses to break even. Now they have to manage their revenues and expenses the way a for-profit would. And that puts a little bit more attention on financial statements.
And that's certainly a change for this organization.
It is, and it's a challenge for a lot of agencies in this space.
Now, you've been here for several months already, Tara. Can you believe how time has flown?
Yes, it is.
Has flown. You've had a chance to kick the tires, so to speak. What do you see so far, and what are some of the things that you know that you definitely like to change?
First of all, it's a wonderful organization in the sense that it has prevention services. So we have programs for young moms and babies, and then we have programs through residential services where children are aging out of the system and need residential services if there's issues at home that's preventing them from living with mom and dad. And we want to make sure, I want to make sure, both of us want to make sure that YCS is on the forefront of providing best practices across the board. So with every population that we serve, that we're bringing evidence-based practices, the newest interventions to really make the most impact and difference with the children and families we serve.
It's interesting. I know that your background includes working with children who have been obviously abused and neglected. And I was just curious, what is it that our society is not recognizing and not knowing about how to care for children, especially children with special needs?
I think early intervention services is so very important, and oftentimes there's stigma associated with receiving help. And if families can understand that it's okay, there's no shame in asking and getting help, that it's there, and the earlier that we can provide that intervention and the earlier we can intervene and bring services together for the family, the greater impact we can have.
I also noticed that you, Carla, were in the board of Our House, which was an affiliate of YCS, and you were in the Human Rights Committee. And I wanted to talk about human rights of the people we serve, and are their voices really being heard today?
This is a really important issue. A lot of our clients are nonverbal. Many, as you have said, have been abused or neglected and may not be able to articulate or communicate everything that they're feeling. And so having a whole staff that has empathy and support and respect is really paramount. So this is very important to the board. I'm honored to serve on the Human Rights Committee, and we review behavior plans. We're not a rubber stamp committee. We have a lot of questions. Sometimes we ask for changes for things. But that's part of the whole culture here, that's really what we want to emphasize.
There are a lot of needs that exist. We all know that. And I just wanted to know, in your opinion, what are some of those needs that are out there that YCS can certainly fill that no one's really filling at this point, just to get some ideas of what you see?
I think the most important piece is that bringing the community together to really wrap services around the families that we're working with. And what we have right now is we have early intervention services, then we have schools, and we have residential facilities. But it would be wonderful to be able to integrate the school pieces, every aspect for the children together, and bring the community to reinforce and provide that sense of connection for the kids. So, because it's very difficult to live outside of home, and we want parents to be very involved, and we want their community, their school, and all of those players to be able to come together and wrap those services around the children so that they can stay connected and then ease in their transition when they're ready to go back home.
No, nice holistic approach.
Yes.
Excellent. And what do you see the need, and how can we help at YCS?
Sure. I think in the same vein, if we had a day program for adult developmentally disabled, that would fill out the kind of roster of services for that population that we serve as well.
And I think what's really great about the organization is that we are talking about the aging out. We're not just talking about children, and we're talking about those aging out of the system, so to speak, and certainly adults with special needs. So we're really doing from birth to the end, we can serve here. YCS recently celebrated its 100 years, and I just wanted to get your opinions. Where do you see the organization going, let's say, in the next 100 years?
Well, very much what Carla just said in terms of having day programming and community service. So it's been largely focused on residential services. That's the largest portion of the YCS business over the last 101 years. And we want to be able to expand our community-based services so that when children are ready to go home, they're linked to services so that they can be successful back home as well, not just within the residential facility. And of course, we're seeing things change in our environment as well with the opioid crisis, with suicidality dropping to a lower age because of different issues like social media impact, how that's impacting how we're raising our children in our communities. That connectedness is so important, and because oftentimes kids are being raised with a lot of devices, they're losing some of those connections, and we're seeing the impact of that as risk factors are increasing at a younger age. So we want to address that, and we want YCS to be able to help with the community and help eliminate suicide issues, and really work on prevention and making sure that we're combating that issue in our communities and society.
And you, for the next 100 years?
100 years is a long time. So I think it's over that time span, it's a little hard to predict exactly what services we're going to provide, but I think the idea that we're serving vulnerable populations with care and respect is absolutely the thing that's going to continue. YCS will still be the agency with the heart.
Thank you both for your passion and your commitment to continuing the work here at YCS.
Thank you.
YCS has a great past and obviously a very, very bright future. I'm Vanessa Tyler. Thank you for watching.